Hello viewers, welcome to the digital class of Udayanath Autonomous College of Science and Technology. So viewers, today's class will be about a new topic, that is ISDN, that stands for Integrated Services Digital Network. So today's video will be more interesting because ISDN is a new technology and has boosted in this era. So without wasting much of our time, let's move on to the slide, that is ISDN. So ISDN stands for Integrated Services Digital Network. It is a set of digital transmission protocols defined by the International Standards Body of Telecommunications. That means, as the name suggests, so it is stands for Integrated Services Digital Network. That is, it is an integrated service, or it contains a lot of services under the digital network. So the definition says that it is a set of digital transmission protocols. That means it is a collection of some protocols under the digital transmissions, which are actually defined under the International Standards of Body for Telecommunications, that is the ITUT, which is previously called as CCITT. That means actually there is a body, or there is a set of standards that govern the digital transmission protocol. So previously it was named as CCITT, then again it has been renamed as ITUT. So these protocols are accepted as standards by virtually every telecommunications carrier all over the world. That means these are the protocols which are actually accepted as the standards, and these are actually working as virtually in every telecommunication carrier all over the world. So we have already discussed that whenever the signals are being transmitted, so they are transmitted by using the carrier signals, and there are certain protocols and standards which are associated with the telecommunications carrier. So actually ISDN provides that type of standards and protocol which actually govern the telecommunications carrier throughout the world. So ISDN complements the traditional telephone system so that a single pair of telephone wire is capable of carrying both voice and data simultaneously. That means previous or traditional telephone system has no capability of transmitting the voice and data signals at the same time, but ISDN has the capability of sending or transferring the data which carries the voice and data simultaneously. That means in today's world, or in today's era, we have the provision of using the internet or data while going for a call, or while we receive a call, or while making a call, we can go for data communications, or we can go for digital data simultaneously, and this is only possible because of this ISDN services, because ISDN provide a lot of facility along with the protocols and standard that will govern us, through which we can send the data or transmit the data through the telephone wires, having the capability of transmitting voice and data simultaneously. So it is a fully digital network where all devices and applications present themselves in a digital form. That means it is actually a fully digital network. That means no analog network is considered in this ISDN services, and all the devices and applications under this network present themselves in digital form. That means even the devices, applications, that means the hardware, software that are included in the ISDN services are in digital form, and no devices or no applications help the data to be flowed in the analog form. So the essential difference between ISDN and the conventional telephone system is that it is digital, not analog. So the main difference between the traditional telephone system and the ISDN services is that there is no analog system in between them. That means the traditional telephone system contains some digital as well as some analog signals, whereas in ISDN only analog signals are restricted and the digital signals are only allowed to be used for transmission of data. So information travels as bits rather than as waves. So as we are not talking about the analog signals, so the data or the information that are needed to be transferred are not in the form of waves, rather they are in the form of bits. So we are considering the bits over here because all the signals or all the data are in the form of digital form. So they follow the bits rather than webs. So in addition, it also allows multiple streams of these bits to occupy the same connection, providing the user with greater versatility of services. That means here the information that is being traveled or that is being transferred are in the form of multiple streams. That means the bits are transferred in a multiple stream and they occupy only the same connection. That means in the same connection or in the same path we can transfer multiple streams of bit at the same time. Thus it actually proves that at the same moment or at the simultaneous moment we can use the data as well as voice data. So it provides the user with greater versatility of services. So the user did not have to choose whether they will go for voice data or they will go for data connection. So they can get the connection or they can get the services simultaneously. So moving on to the image over here, you can see that there are some towers or there are some network devices connected over here to the ISDN network. So whenever we are going for ISDN network, so we are under the ISDN bridge. So ISDN bridge, as we have discussed before, that bridge is a device that connects the traditional telephone system with the LAN connections. So you can see that there is a ISDN bridge over here which actually connects the traditional telephone system with the LAN connection, and all the LAN connection or all the PCs under the LAN are connected with the device that is called as hub. We can take the help of switch also to connect the devices or the PCs over the LAN. So you can see that there are different PCs which are connected in LAN through the help of hub, and the hub is finally connected to the ISDN bridge which is connected to a traditional telephone line. That means through the help of telephone line, the ISDN bridge will give internet connection to the hub, and through the hub all the devices will get the connection. Similarly, ISDN bridge is actually connected to the tower or base station, and the base stations are actually connected through the ISDN network. That means whenever we are calling or we are sending any information from one location to another location, so all the data or all the information are passed in the form of ISDN network. So first of all, whenever we are using the systems, the data from the systems are transferred to the hub. So hub, by taking the help of telephone line under the ISDN bridge, connects it to the base station, and the base station then sends the data to another base station. So in this way, from one hub we can transfer the data to another hub through the help of ISDN network. So ISDN network is a digital form where the data is being transferred from one base station to another base station. So you can see that one LAN connection gets connected to another LAN connection, and in this way a lot of LAN connections or the lot of PCs or the lot of systems get connected with each other through the help of ISDN network. So in this way, one base station connects with the one other base station through the help of ISDN network, and the sender has the provision of sending the data through the hub, then it is being transferred to ISDN bridge, then it is being transferred to base station, and the vice versa occurs at the receiver side. That means the data is received at the base station, then it is being transferred to ISDN bridge. This ISDN bridge is again connected to the traditional telephone line, and simultaneously it has been connected to the hub. So it will receive the data from the base station, and the bridge will again transfer it or forward it to the hub, and finally the hub will transfer the data to the LAN PCs. So in this way, one LAN PC gets connected to another LAN PC through the help of ISDN network. Next we will be moving to the next topic, that is applications of ISDN. That means where we will be using the technology of ISDN. So the integrated services digital network uses the twisted pair copper telephone line that would traditionally carry only one voice connection. That means in case of digital network or in case of ISDN, we take the help of twisted pair copper cable. So the traditional telephone line has a provision of using twisted pair copper telephone line. So if we will use this copper wire to transfer the data from one location to another location, then ISDN can also be implemented on this, and it would traditionally carry one voice connection. That means, as we have learned before, that twisted pair copper telephone line are being used for voice connection. So in case of ISDN also, we can take the help of twisted pair copper telephone line or traditional telephone line to transfer the voice connection. So ISDN can carry more than one connection over this wire at the same time. So the big difference between traditional telephone line and ISDN is that ISDN has the capability of transmitting more than one voice connection over the same wire at the same time and at a greater speed. That means the same wire will be used, but when we are implementing the ISDN services, so at the same time the twisted pair coupled telephone line can have the capability of transmitting the same data with more than one voice connection and at a very greater speed. So applications include telecommuting, simultaneous voice, fax, data and email, inexpensive video conferencing, remote broadcasting and high quality audio transmission. That means all the applications that are being included under the ISDN, it may include the telecommuting, that means the voice connections that we are using, simultaneous voice, fax, data and email. That means whenever we are connecting our telephone line through the voice connection or we are sending any voice data, at the same time we can use the fax machine and we can take the help of internet connection or data connection, and at the same time we can take the help of email. That means we can send the data through the help of emails also. So the applications combine all these things under the ISDN. So inexpensive video conferencing is also another facility or application of ISDN. That means whenever we are video conferencing by taking the help of, or we can conclude or we can combine a lot of people under the video conferencing, so we can take the help of ISDN because it is very inexpensive. That means the voice calling and the video conferencing costs the same. So that's why in today's world we can go for online teaching also by taking the help of ISDN services. So remote broadcasting and high quality audio transmission. So you must have seen some of the best quality or high quality videos in YouTube or somewhere else where there is a very high quality audio transmission as well as video transmission, and these are only possible because of the services of ISDN. So ISDN help us to give a very high quality video transmission along with the audio transmissions. So ISDN handles all the types of information, that is voice, data, studio quality sound, static and moving images. That means in today's world we are using very high quality sound along with some still images as well as some moving images, just as some videos, or we can take the help of GIF images. So all this data can be transferred in the technology of ISDN at the same time. So they are all digitized and transmitted at high speed. That means all the data that are being transferred in the form of voice, data or sound, so or images, so they are all being digitized first and then they are transmitted at a very high speed. Next we will be moving some more applications of ISDN. So ISDN can handle many devices and many telephone numbers on the same line. That means it has the capability of combining a lot of devices under the same telephone number under the same line. That means the same telephone number can be used, or the same telephone line can be used for many conference calls as well as for data connection. So in today's world, whatever we are getting the broadband connections from the telephone lines are being possible because of the ISDN. So up to 8 separate telephones, fax machines or computers can be linked to a single basic rate ISDN connection and have different phone numbers assigned to them. That means at the same time we can connect up to 8 separate telephones and 8 fax machines as well as 8 computer under a single basic rate ISDN. That means this is the primary stage of ISDN connection, and in this primary stage we can connect up to 8 telephone lines, fax machines as well as computers, and we can use them simultaneously with a very high speed, and we can also assign different telephone numbers to them. That means if we are using 8 telephone lines, so traditional telephone has a provision of using or taking 8 telephone lines separately, but in case of ISDN we can take 8 telephone lines under a single line with different phone numbers, and we can also assign them for using the fax machines or computers or internet facilities. So the basic rate ISDN line can support up to 2 calls at the same time. That means whenever we are taking the primary telephone line or the basic rate ISDN line, so at the same time we can take up to 2 voice calls simultaneously. So any combination of voice, fax or PC connections can take place at the same time. That means whenever we are going for the calls of two in the same time or simultaneously in the basic rate ISDN, so at that time we can also take the facility of transmitting the voice signals, fax devices or PC connections simultaneously through the same ISDN line. That means a single ISDN line has the capability of transmitting the data where the calls are of two. That means there can be two number of calls at the same time along with the voice, fax and PC connections. Now we will be discussing some more applications of ISDN. So from a digital ISDN telephone line, you can place a call to an analog telephone on a Pstn, that means public switch telephone network. That means the ISDN helps to transfer the data to the traditional telephone line through the help of Pstn. So Pstn stands for actually public switch telephone network. So under the public switch telephone network, we have the provision of transmitting the signal in analog form. So ISDN has the provision of transferring the digital form to analog form and vice versa. So anyone from the traditional telephone line using the analog signals can also transmit or transfer the data to ISDN services under the digital network. So both networks are interconnected by the network carrier in a way similar to the connection between the mobile phone network and the analog phone network. That means the users using the traditional analog phone signal or the users using the new technology of ISDN are being connected smoothly. That means there will be no problem if the user has the provision of transferring the digital signals to analog signals or analog signals to digital signals. So ISDN makes it a very smooth way to transfer the signal from analog to digital and digital to analog. So it is not a big deal for the user to connect to the analog signals or digital signals. So for the user, it is completely transparent whether he is calling a GSM telephone, a conventional telephone or an ISDN telephone line. That means the user need not to worry about whether they are calling from a GSM telephone connection or a conventional telephone system or they are using the ISDN digital telephone lines, because ISDN makes it possible to connect all the GSM telephone lines along with the conventional telephone lines to connect with them, so that the user has the transparency or they will be having versatility to send the data from one location to another location. So you can see that there is a image over here which shows how the ISDN works. So we have already discussed that there is a ISDN network over here through which we connect to the towers, which you must have seen in the terrace of some users. So the tower may be wired or wireless, maximum time it is wireless. So ISDN network provide services to the towers. So the towers give services to the ISDN bridges, and the bridge at the same time connects it to the telephone line to the hub, which has the capability of connecting more than any LAN or PCs. So the hub is responsible for connecting the LANs or PCs with each other, and the hub then sends the data or receives the data from the ISDN bridge. ISDN bridge is responsible for connecting the telephone line with the hub so that they will get the internet connection, and finally the ISDN bridge sends the data to the towers or base station, which is again connected to the ISDN network. So in this way the ISDN network is capable of holding or transmitting the data from one point to another point. So these are some of the services of ISDN. So the first services under ISDN is the network services. So network services carry the interactions between the user and the network. That means network services of ISDN is the layer through which the user get connected to the network. For example, setting up calls and disconnecting them through bearer services. So bearer services is another part of ISDN which has the capability of setting up the calls, that means connecting the calls and disconnecting them. So bearer services carry data between two users. So bearer services of ISDN is actually responsible for carrying the data or transmitting the data from one user to another user. For example, voice or fax information encoded as bitstream network services. So network services has the capability of encoding the voice or fax information and sending from the sender side to the receiver side. At the same time, network services define how the user and the network interact with each other in order to manage the calls. That means, as we have discussed, that ISDN has the provision of combining the GSM telephone line with the conventional telephone line. So the services under the network services of ISDN provide the user to connect or interact with the network in order to manage the calls. So the user can use network services to request the network to perform functions such as making and clearing calls. So the network services provides the user to perform the functions such as making the calls and clearing the calls or transferring the calls to another user and so on. So these are some of the services of network services which are under the ISDN network. So this activity is known as signaling. So signaling is the process through which one user gets connected to the another user, transfer the calls, and as per their requirement they terminate the calls. So the whole process is called as signaling, and signaling is the services under the network services of ISDN. So moving on to the next services of ISDN, that is bearer services. So bearer services carry the call activity that the user is performing at the given moment. That means bearer services is actually responsible for giving or carrying the call activity when a user is performing at the moment. So these include voice calls, fax and modem calls. That means the bearer services include the voice calls, that means whenever a user is getting connected through voice call, or they are sending the data in the form of fax machines, or they are connecting through the modems or internet connections. So broadly speaking, there are two forms of bearer services. So bearer services are categorized into two forms. So they are known as the structured data, and the another one is known as the unstructured data. So the information passing over the bearer services is in a format that is understood by the network. So voice is an example of structured data. That means whenever we are calling a friend through the help of ISDN, so the voice data is actually considered as the structured data because it is in a understood format in the network. So because the network knows that the connection carrying voice, so it can convert the data into an analog signal in the event that the call is connected to an ordinary analog form. So whenever we are going for a voice call in ISDN, so it is considered as structured data because the network knows that whatever data we will be sending will be transferred to analog signal, and then again the analog signal will be transferred or it will be combined to digital form and it will be received by the receiver. So here it is considered as structured data because we know what is the format of sending the voice signals. Next we will be moving to the next criteria, that is unstructured data. So the format of the information is not understood by the network, but is understood by the two user at either end of the service. So whenever we are sending any data in internet connection, so that is considered as the unstructured data because whatever data we are sending, it will be in analog form or digital form, or it is the combination of analog or digital form, it is not understood by the network. So it is considered as the unstructured data. So this is all about the applications and services of ISDN. So I hope you have all understood what is the concept of ISDN, how the ISDN works, what are the applications of ISDN, what are the services under ISDN, what is structured and what is unstructured data. So if you have any doubt, you can comment me on our YouTube channel. So till then, thank you.